Strikers of the Kansas Jayhawks.
Welcome, everybody, to the Border War podcast on the Kansas City Sports Network, presented by 360 Vodka. I'm Jarrett Sutton. I'm joined, as always, by Jeff Hawkins. Jeff, how are you? Welcome to the show, man.
Yeah, thanks, man. Doing good. You know, another great week of basketball. Obviously, probably more great on your end than my end, but another good week of basketball, man. Obviously, we're in the about to get in the thick of basketball season, so it's just good to see good quality basketball happening right now.
Yeah, we're in league play. I always like to call it we're in the family, so everybody knows everybody a little better than the non-conference schedule. So, interesting to talk about these two teams because with Mizzou, we're a different feel in this podcast. Mizzou gets a huge win against Alabama. We'll talk about Kansas. Kansas started Big 12 play with a win at Oklahoma State. They fall at Texas Tech yesterday. But let's talk about Mizzou to start the podcast. Really interesting just going into this Alabama game when you look at where Mizzou was at prior to this game. And Mizzou had lost by 25 to Illinois. They lost by 27 to Kentucky. That was right before the new year on December 29th. They hadn't played. They had a game postponed with Mississippi State. They did not have Konzo Martin in that game at Kentucky with COVID. And they come home and a game where the line was minus 13.5 Mizzou, and the point line was 148. And the game, Mizzou scores 92 points, wins the game, plays really well, puts two halves together, gets a big win. But I want to throw out a couple numbers here because this is a big win for Mizzou, obviously. But if you look at Nate Oates at Alabama, who's done a terrific job in his 3 seasons at Alabama, Nate Oates is now 0-3 at Mizzou Arena. Alabama had won 21 of their last 24 games in the SEC, 2 of those losses to Mizzou. Right now, when you look at it, I mean, maybe we should have expected maybe to Mizzou to give a little bit of a fight. Maybe it's just a matchup thing. But Mizzou was really good in this game. They were plus 12 on the glass. They hit 9 threes. They got to the free throw line. They were plus 10 at the free throw line. They had 19 assists as well. Really, and the big thing was the starters for Mizzou. Got a lot of production from their starters. Out of the 92 points, 87 came from their starters. But let's dive into this game a little bit. Alabama, talented team. Jaden Shackelford, Javon Quinterly, those 2 guys are back. Keon Ellis, J.D. Davison, their 2 young freshmen, Noah Gurley. Alabama's a talented team. They're a team that really likes to space you out. They shoot threes. They play fast. They play with tempo. And really, it was surprising. They went zone. I shouldn't say surprising because Mizzou's not been a great 3-point shooting team, and they wanted to take away Kobe Brown. But Mizzou did a great job of beating that 2-3 zone in that first half and really kind of shot Alabama out of the zone, which was very surprising. And, man, with Mizzou having a 20-point lead in the second half and Alabama, you knew they were going to make a run. They make a run, cut it to 4, and Mizzou is able to close. And can't say enough about Kobe Brown. We've talked about him before. 30 points. Man, he balled out. 9 of 13 from the field. He hit a couple threes. He was 10 of 11 at the free throw line, 13 rebounds, 4 assists, a block. He did everything for Mizzou. Mizzou without 2 players as well. Amari Davis was out with COVID protocol, so they were limited. But, man, got great shooting from Jaron Coleman. We've talked about him before on this podcast. He hits 4 threes. Dejuan Gordon, another big guy from K-State. A lot of local fans will know him. He had 15 points, was very efficient, was great defensively. And then the guy that I circled that I think is the guy I'm going to follow all year in terms of I want to see where this kid's at the end of the year is Trayvon Brazile.
Yeah, you mentioned him you mentioned him a lot. Yeah.
Man, I thought he changed the game with his presence. And Kobe Brown and Trayvon's now starting, and they switch off 4 and 5 because Kobe Brown is not a natural 5. He's more of a 4. But you have to play him at the 5 because that's just how Mizzou's going to have to do it. But Trayvon Brazile was very good protecting the rim. They credit him with 3 blocks. I want to say he had 4. He had a fingertip on 1. I don't think he got credit for. But he was great around the rim and straight up contesting shots and really gives Missouri a different feel defensively with his versatility and his athleticism. He's still a little raw offensively, but he's a Konzo Martin guy because he can guard everywhere. And he's very physical. He's gaining more confidence defensively. I thought he was a huge impact in this game for Missouri. So we can talk about Kobe. Javon Pickett was very good. Got to talk about Javon, the senior, plays 39 minutes. He was very efficient, 7 of 12 from the field, didn't force, great in the mid-range, where Javon is, I think, really improved his game a little bit. This is a good win for Missouri to build on. They go to Arkansas next. And Arkansas is, Arkansas struggling. They're a team that coming into this year, I think there was a lot of hype and a lot of, excitement about in Fayetteville, and they've struggled. They're not off to a good start in league play. So who knows what happens here with Mizzou, but it's a big win. It's a statement win. And I do think it sends a message to the SEC that, Mizzou did not play well in the Kentucky game. They got blown out. And you kind of wonder, okay, what is this team? They lose at home to UMKC, right? And then here they are winning at home against Alabama, who's one of the better teams in the SEC. Just goes to show you, Jeff, college basketball, man. You never know what you're going to get.
Hey, and you mentioned, you said it best. You never know what you're going to get. It's like a box of chocolates, like
that's right.
Forrest Gump.
That's right.
But you got to think about it, man. It's tough in this game to, judge a team early in the season. I know you mentioned the UMKC loss. But now you can talk about this Alabama win, and that's big for any team's confidence to be able to turn that tide and, have a upset, with the UMKC, and then be able to create an upset with a team like Alabama. Being a Missouri fan, that for you to be a Missouri fan, and all Missouri fans, they should be excited right now for their basketball program, for the future of the program. Obviously as a Jayhawk fan, I look at it from a standpoint as obviously, we talked about that rivalry really huge. I look at it like, dude, go Missouri. Like, it just strengthens, again, that rivalry that is going to be renewed over the next 3 years or 4 years. But again, guys, you got to expect Kobe Brown, like you mentioned, to play the way that he did. But he had a really great game, double-double, shot really great from the field, stretched the floor from the three as well, too. You guys expect that from Kobe, but Kobe had a really great night as well, too. But not only Kobe, but the rest of the supporting cast. And it can't just be Kobe, because I think a lot of the time it was just Kobe. Everybody knew what he was going to do. But for him to have such a big game, and then for him to have a supporting cast behind it that was equally scored out. Like I said, Coleman had 18, Gordon had 15, Pickett had 15. That's a good supporting cast. And if they can continue to play together and trust each other that way, Missouri's going to be a scary team. And like you said, Brazile, man, this is a guy that's still figuring out, only played 23 minutes, shot a great field goal percentage, rebounded the ball, shared the ball. Impacted the game in every statistical category that he could, and had no turnovers with it as well, too. So had 4 blocks. Like, I'm gonna give him 4 blocks.
We'll give him one.
Yeah, we'll give him that. We'll give him that extra one, man. But he had no turnover. So this is a kid that is definitely trying to figure it out. And this Missouri team is still trying to figure it out. It's still, this is about the time where teams start really trying to figure themselves when they get into conference play. So hats off to Missouri, man, because this was definitely the win that they needed. And these are type of wins that can, get your program turned in a different direction and get those players really buying in to what the coach is really trying to teach.
And Jeff, you and me are fortunate that we were able to play on some really good teams, win a lot of games, compete in March Madness, the NCAA tournament. This Missouri team, they were pretty much left for dead in the water after some of these losses, right? Not just the UMKC loss, but let's face it, non-competitive against Kansas, non-competitive against Illinois, non-competitive Kentucky. So what are you really getting out of the year? And we talked about this last week. At the last time we talked, it was December. Now we're in January. But you got to get something out of this season. And, it's tough. I can't imagine what it's like to lose a bunch of games knowing – you got no opportunity to compete in postseason. Now, obviously, it's still early in league play. Anything can happen. But, the odds are Missouri's not going to be competing in the postseason with everything going on. Maybe. You never know.
Remember, even if they don't win it, all you got to do is win the tournament, man.
Win the tournament. Yeah, you never know. It's true.
Win 3 games, man. Hey, you dancing.
It's true. You never know. You never know. Catch any team on a bad night.
they're still. Hey, man, Missouri is building right now. Like the fact of the matter is, they're building. They're getting better, and they can continue production like that. Jarrett, dude, like winning the conference tournament for Missouri. Teams aren't going to want to play them for that, and Missouri's just going to have full confidence to continue to get better if they can keep their mindset on that. Like, hey, even if we don't win it, hey, let's be that scary team that nobody wants to play. And just take it one game at a time. If we can win 3 games in a row, we're dancing.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, too, I think with the growth that we're trying to hit on here with Mizzou, the things that jump out to me in this Alabama game were, yes, they shot it better from 3.
Yeah.
I thought they got way better looks. The ball movement was a lot better. I mean, they basically shot a team out of a zone, and it wasn't all threes. It was also getting the ball to the middle of the zone and letting Kobe Brown hit mid-range 15-footers. And so that's a good sign. That's a positive sign that you shot a team out of a zone. That's very good. They were also the balance of both halves. They were very efficient. They got to the free throw line. They attacked. They closed the game out. They took care of the ball for the most part. They had a couple turnovers late, but that's a good sign. I mean, let's give Konzo Martin a ton of credit too. Like sitting out with COVID, not being around his team, hasn't coached, in a little while, and coming off 2 really bad losses. They haven't played in so long, and to come on your home floor in front of your hometown fans to get a win like that, that says a lot. I really think that's a statement win for Mizzou, just to show, hey, we're not going to lay down, right?
Yeah,
and to your point, one game at a time. I'll take that fight. I mean, if they go now, the thing is consistency, right? Can they keep this up? Can they continue to play at this level? We'll see. But if they can compete like that night in and night out, and if they do drop a game, if they can compete like that, if they can show more offensively and show more balance and just show more of an identity, I think is what you're looking at for Mizzou basketball. You'll take that. So it's a great win. Mizzou goes to Arkansas. They come back home the following Saturday, so it's a quick trip. They will host Texas A&M on Saturday. Texas A&M's off to a very good start. So a couple interesting games coming up. Mizzou, if they can, hey, as you know, you want to take care of your home floor. You want to win games at home, especially in league play.
Sneak a couple on the road. Sneak a couple on the road.
If you can sneak a couple on the road, you're in good shape. But you got to take care of the home floor. So good win for Mizzou. We'll see where they are. They go to Arkansas on Wednesday. And let's see if Kobe Brown can stay consistent as well. It's something I'm really going to, 30 points, 13 rebounds, big night. He's got to stay out of foul trouble, and he's got to continue to bring that. And there's some guys talking about Kobe Brown in terms of his development. Kobe's a junior, and his scoring output has taken a huge jump. His rebounding output has taken a huge jump. I'd like to see him shoot the ball like he was, and with no thinking. He hit a couple threes in that game, and he wasn't overthinking. And sometimes, this, players, some when they're missing shots, they overthink. I don't think he was thinking. And he just let the game come to him, and he looked like he was in a rhythm. He looked like he was in a flow. He was confident, and he never let the foot off the gas that entire game. So that's what you want from your best player. Yeah,
you do. And I'll add one more if I can to Kobe. And I mean, you mentioned it. Kobe wanted him to shoot more, but I think another deal for Kobe to be able to be the best Kobe is, again, for like his teammates to be able to step up, make plays, hit shots. That's big, because when they don't, all the focus is just on Kobe. So teams are helping a little bit more. Kobe has to be more creative to score, which, again, I mean, you still got to be aggressive. But you also want, to know that, you can swing the ball to an open wing when his man is helping too much and he can knock down that 3. And then the next time they play it honest, and now you can get to the rim and score, hit the mid-range jumper if they're backing off. So I hope that, moving forward, that, Kobe can continue to get that good supporting cast.
Absolutely. We'll look forward to see what Mizzou shows in Fayetteville. Sure. Let's shift gears and let's talk about Kansas. They go down. First of all, two road games to start league play. We talk about the Oklahoma State win. Wild game. Really one of the more wild games. It was really good to see David McCormick play well. Kansas had a much better second half than they did in the first half, but able to get a win. Christian Brown was good passing the ball. And again, a game where it's tough to go to Stillwater. I played in Stillwater in the old Big 12 Gosh, I'm dating myself, the old Big 12, but it's still a tough place to play. So good for Kansas to get a win. Then they go to Texas Tech, and new head coach in Mark Adams, but he's been at Texas Tech as an assistant, and very similar identity. I feel like when I think of Texas Tech, of just a hard-nosed, blue-collar, tough team. They gave Iowa State a really good game in terms of keeping the game in the 50s. Like, if there's a team that wants to muddy it up and make it kind of ugly, but still has talent, and still can beat you with their offense, it's Texas Tech. Without Terrence Shannon, interesting game. Texas Tech ends up winning this game. I think Kansas is going to continue to look at that first half. They struggled to make shots. They were much better in the second half. Bench production wasn't there probably in this game for Kansas, and the game was won in the paint. Offensive rebounding for Texas Tech was very good. Your thoughts on Kansas losing their second game of the year down in Lubbock?
Yeah, that was a tough one, and you mentioned that to me. Kind of go back a little bit to that Oklahoma State game. You go back to that game, and speaking from a David McCormick standpoint, he comes off 17 points, 15 rebounds, plays really good. They just played solid, at Oklahoma State. It was tough, but anytime you can get a win on the road, especially the magnitude of that game and kind of what was behind it with Coach Self's history with the program, that was a really big win. And, they come into Texas Tech, and it was a little bit different. You really mentioned if they could take back that first half, they wish they could get that back, and they had a little bit of a slow start. But, even once the game, kind of progressed throughout the game, the Jayhawks really couldn't, close that lead. I think they brought it down to 4 at one point in time, or 5, and couldn't get really over that hump. But Texas Tech, you got to, credit them. They controlled the game from the get-go. CB, Ochai, they showed up. Obviously, CB only had 10 points, shot 4 for 10 from the field, didn't shoot the way he normally did, only 0 for 2. When I see CB going 0 for 2 from 3, again, that just shows me he probably wasn't as aggressive as he could have been. I think CB needs to, average anywhere from 4 to 6 threes per game, just to make sure he's keeping the defense honest, driving to the basket. But he really couldn't find his rhythm from that standpoint. Mitch Lightfoot, who's been really great over the past couple of games when they've been trying to get David McCormick going, he really struggled. I think he only played 10 minutes, and he started as well too, and had no rebounds, no points. So they were kind of hurting from a big, and you have to credit Texas Tech, because they figured it out. They threw it inside. They made a presence from the inside and played inside out, which made the Jayhawks continue to scramble. But Ochai, you're looking at Ochai, and the Jayhawks have to be excited about Jalen Wilson. You hate trying to find moral victories. I don't really believe in those moral victories, but I do believe that you can find positives in negative situations. Although the Jayhawks did lose, they have something to work with Jalen Wilson. He played great, 20 points. Obviously, from a scoring perspective, that's something that the Jayhawks were really looking for him. 6 for 8 from the field, 3 for 5 from 3, 5 for 6 from free throw. So that's something that they were looking for Jalen. And this isn't typical Jalen. Jalen only had 2 rebounds. So, Jalen normally hasn't scored as much as what he scored this last game against Tech throughout the season, but he's rebounded. And I think that's what really hurt, really at the end of the day, what hurt the Jayhawks. They got out rebounded by 10. And that's kind of the heart of Coach Self. He really kind of measures his team on toughness, on how they rebound the ball. And for them to get out rebounded by 10 rebounds, they gave up 13 offensive rebounds. So those are just second chance opportunities that KU wish they could get back, box out, hit your man, go get the ball, 2 hands, be strong with it. So the Jayhawks just never really could find their groove. Like I said, Ochai did a good job, 24 points, from kind of carrying his load. But some of the other guys just, like Coach Self, I think they're still trying to find that inside presence. McCormick didn't play as much, 14 minutes, went 1 for 3 from the field. Had 6 rebounds and 4 points. So he really didn't get in his groove as well. But he tried to rebound the ball with 6 rebounds. So that's still good for David. But they're going to have to, at the end of the day, they're going to have to find an inside presence, consistent inside presence to where they can throw the ball in. And I think that's what the Jayhawks are searching for right now.
Yeah, I look at that points in the paint number where Tech had 44 to Kansas 18.
Yeah.
That's something I think that's going to haunt Bill Self, because I think that touches to your point on the toughness piece. That's going to be a number that, and a lot of those are offensive rebounds and stickbacks, just getting extra possessions. And Kansas only loses by 2. So you're talking about, they're in the game and they really got dominated on the glass. So it's almost like I'm with you. I don't look for positive. It's good to take positives and negatives in any game, win or lose. But, I think in a loss, there's no moral victories. But I'm with you on that. I mean, they're in the game and there's things to correct. And to see Jalen Wilson with 2 rebounds and then Mitch, who's reliable rebounder, to not get any rebounds. That's really that you can't have that at your 4 and 5. And Christian does a nice job on the glass, but they have to have guys step up and rebound the ball at those positions. And especially in a game like this, where I thought Texas Tech, that was part of their game plan a little bit, it's almost like in football, right? Winning a game in the trenches.
Yeah, for sure.
And like it's instead of it being like a passing game in football, it's a trenches run the ball. And that's kind of what it felt like, where Texas Tech was just trying to dominate in that area, and that ultimately was the difference in this game.
Yeah, I mean, again, that's the way Coach Self plays. You want to get the ball inside, outside. You want to. That's kind of that is a great comparison. Getting the ball inside is just like just running it, just run it up their throat. So, and that's kind of how it is when you just pound the ball inside, man. Because it forces the teams to, especially at this level, are they going to trap the post? What are they going to do? Are they fronting? It makes them go to their counter schemes. And right now, KU's easy to guard if you can shut down their guards and contain their bigs. That's with any team. It's going to be tough for them to get off. But luckily, the Jayhawks did have Ochai was still. It's tough to shut down all 3 of the guards, especially if Jalen's playing that way. CB didn't have the great game like he normally does, but Ochai was still able to do some good things. But I think at the end of the day, Coach Self, they're still searching a little bit. And they'll have to, take some lumps if they have to figure out it. But I think, Coach Self's going to stick with it. I think he's going to continue to trust his bigs, because I think at the end of the day, he's going to think about the big picture, and he's going to need those guys to produce in order to give KU any shot at winning a national championship.
Yeah, I did want to touch on the 2 players that I thought played the best. Bryson Williams at Texas Tech, 22 and 8, 9 of 13 from the field. But Ochai, I'm glad you hit on him, because 24 points on 12 shots. I mean, that is efficient.
You like your efficiency, Jared.
Oh my gosh! Absolutely. I'm looking at the 3, like 6 of 9 from 3 and 4 at the free throw line. And like
give that man 24 shots.
That's right. I mean, man, and that's in 35 minutes. And it touches on shot selection too, improvements for Ochai, not taking bad shots. Didn't take a bad one in this game. I do want to touch on Remy Martin too, because I know he was kind of a game time decision. I know he's kind of battling back with some injuries. He does give them 12 minutes, only shoots the ball 3 times. This is another piece of this game for me, is let's get Remy healthy and, get him more acclimated into this offense and with this team. We know what Remy can bring this team when he's healthy. So that is another piece. Just, I credit him for playing. I don't know how healthy he was to play in this game though.
And I'm glad that you mentioned that, because I kind of forgot about that to a certain degree. And, you got to credit Remy for trying to give it a go. But I think Remy playing in a game like this, when the Jayhawks, and this is what Remy has been doing over the last couple of games, he's really showed that, when the Jayhawks are looking for that bucket, somebody to maybe take that wild shot that no other player's thinking about taking. Remy's been doing a really good job of, I have the confidence to shoot that shot. I know I can make it. I've done that at Arizona State my whole career. So Remy's done a good job of that. So it would have been fun to see Remy playing in a game like this, healthy, because he could have been a difference maker and maybe helping the Jayhawks be able to get over that hump as far as needing that big bucket that kind of gets the crowd a little bit quiet as far as getting the players hype and juiced up ready for the next possession.
Kansas goes home. We just talked about winning on your home court. Kansas gets to come home, start Big 12 play in Allen Fieldhouse. They get Iowa State. It's a big one. There's been some great Kansas-Iowa State games in Allen Fieldhouse. So this will be a good one on Tuesday. Isaiah Brockington's very good, by the way. I've seen Iowa State live. He's kind of the catalyst to that team. And, that whole staff, too, deserves a ton of credit. Not just TJ coming over as the first-year head coach, Ossenberger, but also their entire staff has done a really good job. I mean, I always view Iowa State as a team that just tries to outscore everybody. Yeah. But I do think they're a little bit tougher now. I mean, they really get after you defensively. I think it's going to be a good game. And Kansas got to come home, take care of their home court. It's going to be a big one for them. And then they got West Virginia on Saturday. And West Virginia's having a good year, too. And they got a really good scoring guard, top 5 scoring guard in the Big 12, and Taz Sherman. So a couple of big ones for Kansas. And look, Jeff, this league, man, I mean, we talk about it every year. Yeah. I mean, the Big 12 is solid across the board, man. It is a tough league. You're talking 10 teams, but, man, you got to bring it. Especially, I mean, I think you could say that every year, but I'm just looking up and down, like, the schedules, and there's some really good teams in this league. And as you know, playing at home, playing on the road, we'll see where we're at come beginning of March when we're talking about Big 12 outright regular season championships.
It's going to be fun.
It's going to be fun, man. And some of these games at the beginning of league play come back. You start looking back. Some of these league games to start league play, you think about down the road. So a couple of big ones coming up for Kansas.
Hey, it's funny, man. It's like no team in the Big 12 can say, hey, we're going to win the next 3 games. And, like, really, like, just know it. Like, because that's how – I mean, not even the next game. I said 3 games. I mean, the next game is always up for grabs in the Big 12. And that just goes – I mean, even when we both played in the Big 12, it was always a strong, tough conference. And sometimes I felt it was we got underlooked or overlooked. But it's a tough conference, man. And it's to me, it's continued to grow, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens fully with the Big 12 over the next few years. But it's a tough conference, man.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I hate to see teams leave the Big 12 just from. We know that football drives so much of college athletics, but I hate it for basketball. And I hated this in 2012, when Missouri and A&M left. I knew there were other reasons for it, but from a basketball standpoint and from a college basketball rivalry standpoint, I hated it for so many reasons. And I think if you're a Mizzou fan and you're thinking solely basketball, like if it's just basketball, then that's when it started, and we're seeing it again. And I mean, who knows where we're going to be in 5-10 years with the way things are going. So we could have another whole entire podcast about the state of college athletics. And my brother asked me the other day, is like, what is a college athlete anymore now with NIL? And like I'm sitting here thinking, like, man, what would we do back in the day if NIL was around, man? And Lawrence and Columbia.
Man, what would we do?
Scary to think about.
That is a question. Yeah, it's very scary. I don't even want to open that box up. Jeez.
I know, man. It's another podcast.
Yeah, we'll save that for another day.
That's right. Hey, before we get out of here, I did want to send a quick note. Congratulations to Asia Blackwell of Mizzou women's basketball. She surpassed 1,000 points in her career. Big accomplishment. Awesome. Big-time player for the Mizzou women's program. They just got upset over the weekend in Fayetteville, but very good player at Mizzou. Kind of followed Sophie Cunningham after Sophie left. She was like the next big piece out of St. Louis. Her dad played football at Mizzou. She's had a great career. So props to her. 1,000 points. That's a big deal.
Awesome. Yes, it is.
Shouldn't be overlooked. So congrats to Asia Blackwell.
Yeah, congrats to Asia for sure.
Jeff, it's great, man. Good to connect.
Always,
good to catch up with you. Big games ahead, man. We'll get together next week and break it all down.
You betcha, man. Appreciate it, man. Enjoy that win, dude.